everyone, welcome back. Today we are going to make one pot beans. Yes, one pot beans. If your little one like beans like mine, I think they are going to love this recipe. So let's get into it. We are going to use honey beans. You can use black eye beans. I've used that before. I use different kind of beans. I've used kidney beans before, so you can use black eye beans. And these beans, I soak it overnight because I want it to be very easy to digest. If you soak your beans overnight, it will be very easy to digest for your little ones. So try to get used to soaking your beans overnight before you cook it for your little ones. So I'm going to use corn. Yeah, we are not in the season of corn here, but I bought this corn during winter and I save it in my freezer. So now it's very useful for me. So we are going to use corn in this recipe. And I think in Nigeria there's corn in the season. And I'm going to use red onions. You can use white onions also. I'm also going to use pepper. I have tatashi red bell pepper. I have chili pepper, that's bawa, and I have tomato. So that's the pepper we are going to use. I don't like dry pepper in my beans, so I'm using fresh pepper. Also, we are going to use plantain. Yes, I said one pot beans. And I'm also going to use salt. I'm going to use spices. That spices is for pepper. So those are the recipes I'm going to use. So the first thing I'm going to do now is to cut my pepper because I need to grill this pepper before I use it. I love using fresh pepper for my beans because I like the freshness of the pepper. I don't like using dry pepper. So if you like using dry pepper, you can use it. But let me know in the comment section if you are the dry pepper gang or you are the fresh pepper gang. So I love fresh pepper and that's what I'm using. And I get used to this fresh pepper because my paternal grandma is a bean seller and she always use fresh pepper for her beans, which makes me like fresh pepper in beans. So I already cut my peppers and onions into a tray, so I'm going to put this into the oven. I know by now so many people know I don't cook my peppers. I always grill them or bake them for a while. So I'm going to put this in the oven and let it grill for some time, just for a little time. I just want it to soft, grill, and taste great. So I'm going to add salt and my spice into it. So if you are not going to use spice, if you don't use spice, if what you use is seasoning cubes, you can use your seasoning cubes. But I don't do seasoning cubes. That's why I always use spice. So I'll just drizzle oil on it, just a little bit of oil, and put it in the oven. And while that is in the oven, I want to prepare my plantain. So I'm going to cut my plantain into small pieces. So cutting of your plantain depends on what your little ones like. Like my kids, they love to see plantain while they eat these beans. The last one I made, I used a very ripe plantain, and when I made it, this plantain disappeared into the beans and they were just complaining that they can't see the plantain. So today I decided not to use a very ripe plantain and I'm using ripe plantain, normal ripe plantain. So it depends on what your little ones will like. So like this one, you can use a ripe plantain, not very ripe plantain, and cut it into the size they are going to love. But I think for every kid, they are going to like this size of plantain in their beans. And if you are making this for a toddler like 1.5-year-old, or let me say yes, 1.5-year-old, just try to make it very, very small, like this size, because I have a toddler at home. So when I want to give her own, I'll just bring out of the beans and mash it for her before I give it to her. So this is my plantain. The plantain is ready, and now we'll move on to our beans to cook everything. Meanwhile, I've been cooking my beans for a while. This is beans now and I must cook it to soft. So I've been cooking my beans for a while. What will happen when you cook your beans? When you soak your beans before you cook it, is you will see some whitish thing on your beans. So you have to scrape it off and rinse the beans again before you start cooking. So that's what I did here. So we are going to start by cooking our beans now. So to these beans, I'm just going to add onions to my beans. Do you like onions in your beans? I really love onions in my beans. Let me know in the comment section if you really like onions in your beans. I love onions in my beans, so I always add it at the beginning of cooking. I don't add it at the middle or at the end. I add it at the beginning of the cooking because I want everything to cook together. And I added salt to it. Yeah, that's how I cook my beans. Everything from the beginning, the salt and the onions, because I don't use any other thing for cooking beans aside onions and salt. So as you can see, our onions is boiling, and from boiling is cooked and is ready to invite the plantain into so I'm mixing my plantain into my beans. So I'll just give it a stir, and that is how they roll. This recipe is very, very yummy. Let me know in the comment section if you have tried something like this before. If you have tried this combo like this. As a mom, I really love it. It's very nice, and my husband love it too. So I'll just give it a stir and let the plantain sit in the beans for just 3 minutes before I add my corn. And what happened here is, I don't know, I did not record the corn while I was putting the corn, so please accept it this way. I'm very sorry about that. So I already had my corn. After 3 minutes of adding my plantain, I added my corn, and now I have the pepper. I grilled the pepper and blend the pepper, and this is the pepper. So we are not going to cook this pepper too much. You know, it's already cooked. And one thing about me, if you want a one thing about me is I like nutrients in my food. I like retaining the nutrients in my food. So I don't cook it too much, and I don't cook on high heat. I always cook on medium heat. That way you will retain the nutrients in your food. So I'm not going to cook the pepper much. Once I add my pepper, I'm going to add my oil. So this is it. If you are not going to use palm oil, because here in Qatar palm oil is very scarce. This is from the cargo I made 6 months ago, and I've been managing it with these honey beans. I've been managing it as in. So this is what you do if you are not going to use pepper. If you are not going to use red oil, try to fry your pepper with any oil you are using, maybe sunflower oil, groundnut oil, any oil you are using, coconut oil. Fry the pepper a little bit in the oil so that it will bring out that redness, and you add it to your beans, and you have your beans mixture. You have your bean porridge. You have your warm pot bean porridge. So this is my beans. As you can see, it looks so nice. Not just nice, not just looking so nice, so delicious. As in, this recipe is very delicious. So I'm just going to cover. At this time, I have put off my heat, but before I cover it, I have one recipe. I have one ingredient to add. This is crayfish, grounded crayfish. It's part of my cargo that I made 6 months ago, and I've been managing it, and I'll keep managing all these things because it's not easy to cargo to Qatar. So I'll just give it a stir. I'll mix it together, cover it, and let the heat do the magic. I'm not going to on any light, any stove, any heat. I'm sorry, any heat. So I've off the heat. All I'll just do is let the heat cook the beans. So this is my bean porridge, one pot bean porridge, just except that I use oven for my pepper. So that's my bean porridge. If you really like this recipe, as in if you really like this recipe, don't forget to subscribe, bro. It's very important. And try to give this video a big thumbs up. And see you in another video. Until then, take care of yourself. Bye.